Here we go. Now the mic is working. Okay, we're trying this again. Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Marco. I'm the CEO and one of the founders here at the Firehose project. Usually Brita is running the info sessions, but she's out on birthday, and clearly you can tell I show up having my microphone muted. Great start into it, but this will get a lot better as we're going along. So first up, right, what do we want to cover today? I want to go through our entire program experience. I want to tell you how we started, what we're having right now, if this gets you a job, why we're doing this on top of it as well. And then I want to answer all your questions at the end. So if you have any questions, and I think the right or left of me, you have a little chat box, put the questions in there. I will go there at the very end and grab some of them and answer them. A few people already submitted questions via email. That's great. I already baked that into the whole talk today and will answer them. So first of all, I always like to start out with telling the story, like how we actually started. How did the Firehose project actually start, right? And it was me, and it was my co-founder, Ken. And if you're coding through prep course, you see them in the video, you see them in some of the lessons, you read some blog posts about that he wrote on our blog already. So we started out actually, that was maybe like 4 years ago when we started teaching in-person coding workshops. They were like mini boot camps, like a weekend long or several days long, and we actually ran them across the US. And we ran them at Harvard, ran them at Harvard Business School, Carnegie Mellon, Babson, Brown University, Rhode Island School of Design. We also taught a few high schools in between. And throughout that entire experience, we tested and experimented and understood how do people understand complex concepts and how do they learn how to code. And then we took all these learnings, all these A/B tests that we ran in the classroom, and packed it into our very first version of what we're having today. If you're coding in a prep course already, all that knowledge from way back is still in the platform, giving you the best content at the perfect moment to make things click for you. And so that's how we started out. We're both technical, in person, and then we started moving online and took all that knowledge into it. Now, I have a little presentation going that I want to run you guys through, explain the entire program. I have some screenshots, giving you a few behind the scenes sneak peeks as well, how things work in the full program on the platform. And then at the end, I'll dive in and answer some questions. So let me screen share. Hopefully, I'll do this better than what I just did before. So here we go. Everyone should see the presentation right now, and I'm running you through what we have there, right? So first of all, why should you work as a developer? Why should you work as a software engineer? And I think it comes down to just one number, 1 million, right? There's 1 million more jobs than students by 2020, and that's in the US alone. And I didn't make up that number. That number comes from the US Department of Labor and Statistics. And if we're looking at why that is, because there's this huge gap between down here computer science students and computer programming jobs, right? And we're looking at that median annual wage from 2016, which was over $100,000, right? Granted, that's the median annual wage. You may be a little bit below, you may be a little higher on that, depending on your background, depending on your experience, but there's a huge opportunity. And that's the numbers, and that's the official forecast. But now if we actually dive in deeper and look like, where is this really coming from, right? We know web developers create web apps, right? Full stack web development. That is what we're teaching here in software engineering on top of that. And I can explain the difference or similarities about that after. But if we're looking at that, this is what we're thinking when we're thinking web apps, web applications, right? We're thinking Uber, we're thinking Airbnb, we're thinking Yelp, we're thinking just your inbox on your Gmail account, right? These are all the obvious things that we know, like Airbnb has hundreds and hundreds of developers, as does Uber, thousands, right? As does Yelp, a publicly traded company, as does have Alphabet or Google for that matter, right? These are obvious things, but that's just a tiny fraction of the market today. What we also have is like, we have healthcare, retail, finance, agriculture, government, research and development, transportation, right? These are all the other areas, industries where developers and software engineers are needed, and they're exploding, right? I kid you not, agriculture is huge right now for software developers. What's one of the companies that just got into one of a really popular accelerator in Silicon Valley? They make a Fitbit for cows. They put something on cows to track how healthy cows are. And farmers are lining up to buy the Fitbit for cows because they milk the cows and they make a lot of money. That's their livelihood. And if they can improve that, that's great. No one else does that. Guess what? They have a lot of developers on their team. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that is crazy. And the same happens with healthcare. We have a student in our program, or who graduated a while ago, and he worked in a hospital, right? He did this kind of stuff. And he was a nurse there. And he wanted to improve the communications between patients, nurses, and doctors. And so far, they used sticky notes, Excel tables, and it just didn't work. So he went through our program, learned how to build web applications, and then build a system so everyone could communicate better. And guess what? He's no longer a nurse right now. He's the head engineer right now. And actually, he built a platform, and he's hiring additional engineers to make that better. And we see that over and over again, right? Domino's Pizza, they have an app right now. It's probably one of the best pizza apps out there. With one click, I can order my favorite pizza. They need developers for that. And that really helps their business, right? If you're late at night, you want a pizza, that's the fastest way of ordering a pizza. One click on the Domino's app. So same goes with Tesla, same goes with anything on the airport transportation. It's like somebody needs to write that code. And these are engineers, these are software developers. So the demand, the numbers are really like, if you're just thinking about it, looking where things are going, how things are exploding, is the saying software is eating the world. And that is literally happening right now. So it's a great field to be in, to get into and ride that wave of technology, of that explosion of technology. Now, let's talk about a bit more about the program, right? How long is the program? How much does it cost? We have several options, right? So most value, it's really flexible, and it's competitively priced full stack web development program, right? You don't get a better price anyplace else. And I say that because we're looking at the competition all the time. And if I'm looking at other coding bootcamps, if you go in person, you're always looking at $10,000, $15,000 at least. If you're looking at other online ones, they're always charging $9,000, $10,000, some maybe $8,000, give you a little bit of discount, but none of them actually go and look at their price and trying to be that really provide that value for the money that we're having, right? So first, free bootcamp prep course, practice your skills, explore our program. So if you haven't signed up for that, I urge you to do that. We actually look at your code submissions, give you help in our forum. I explained on that about the forum and the coordinated support that we're having a little more down the line. But you're going to get your code reviewed. If we review a code and we give you the thumbs up, you're officially accepted into our full program. And then you can dive in and actually code with us. And we're actually pretty selective on who we allow into our program. And we think that is really good and it's fair because you get to see, do you like how we're doing things? And we get to see, can you actually code it? Do you have the passion and do you have the energy to get everything done? So go into our free prep course and do that, right? Now, two options that we have an accelerated and a moderate version. Accelerated, it takes 22 weeks and a moderate is 42 weeks. And they both can be done if you have a full-time job. Most people with a full-time job, depending on what else they have going on, do the moderate, but we definitely have people in our accelerated version who also have full-time jobs. And here's kind of the hourly commitment that we're looking for both options. 12 to 15 hours a week for the moderate, and the accelerated is 25 to 35 hours a week. So if you do the accelerated, and you have a full-time job, it really depends. Are you like working from 9 to 5? Then that might be possible. And if you have the weekends too, but if you, need to put more hours in at work, the moderate might be the better option for you. But that's something we can always figure out on a one-on-one basis. So you can jump on calls with us and we really can advise you on what makes the most sense in your specific situation. But all in all, it's code on your own schedule, right? So you can make that. A lot of people wake up an hour early, code for an hour, go to work, and then in the evening do another few hours, and then you do the same on the weekend. But you can literally schedule your mentor meetings when you go on your own. It's not as regimented as an in-classroom experience where you need to be there at like 8 or 9 in the morning, and it doesn't matter if you're not a morning person. If you like to code at night, doesn't matter. With us, you can code at night, you can code during the day, in the morning, whatever works around your schedule. Yeah, you can do it everywhere. Coffee shop. When I started to learn, I was literally like this. I sat in a coffee shop years ago and I started to teach myself how to build my first scripts. And that was me after work in a coffee shop or after school in a coffee shop. Pricing wise, we have the moderate, starts at $8,500 and accelerated at $6,500. And then we also have financing options for you, right? So if you want to do the moderate, we have $900 a month and accelerated $1,000 a month. If you do a financing option with us, there's a little, if you pay up front, we give you a $500 discount. If you choose one of the financing options, $900 a month or accelerated, the $1,000 a month, we are not going to give you the pay up front discount. So we have that if you go and pay everything up front. And then we also have financing options with some of our banking partners. And then you can actually go really low for $260 a month or $195 a month. But the finance options are currently only available in the US. That's all banking regulations. We have very little input on that or influence on that. So if you have plenty of students coding with us from Europe, Australia, all over the world, and Canada, if you're not in the US, we can't currently offer the financing options. But what we do promise you is the most value for your time, money, and commitment. We have an entire team dedicated to you. We have the entire support system. We have all of our mentors there, and it is the best bang for a buck. And that's what our students consistently tell us that they're getting. All right, let's dive in. What is it like to be in the full program? And so this is one of our key values, right? It's real world coding, and we want you to be a competitive, in-demand web developer. And so that is what we're striving for. And when we say real world, right, we mean hands-on project-based learning. That means in your very first week, we have you build your first web application, build it, ship it live to the internet, use the same tools as the professionals, and actually get feedback on it. And it's also for every project that you submit, you get custom feedback on it. So you basically build an application, you submit it for review, and we'll give you feedback on what you could improve and what you can do better. And that's exactly how it works in the real world. You build a feature and you get a code review. We do that consistently. And from those reviews, you'll learn a lot. And then we also have challenges that we want you to go through. So in the beginning, we give you the training wheels on your bicycle, and then we start taking the training wheels away. And that's a bit scary at first, but you kind of learn how to do it yourself. And then we add this training wheels again and give you pretty guided instructions. And we take the training wheels off more and more and more until you're able to ride your bike by yourself or actually build the applications completely by yourself. And that's what happens during the last third of the project. A lot of our students go like, wow, I have this idea. I want to build this passion project of mine. This should exist in the world, and I'm going to build this while also going through the program, because I'm willing to dedicate a handful of hours a week on top of it of building my own idea out. And they can do so because they'll learn to get to that point of being a self-sufficient developer by all the project-based learning that they've done so far in the program. Now, what's the curriculum like, right? We're having the 2 is greater than 1 mentality here. We're teaching you Ruby, that's one programming language, and we're teaching you JavaScript. We're starting out with Ruby because the learning curve is not as steep as JavaScript, and you actually understand the computer science fundamentals, the object-oriented programming, the algorithms, data structures a lot faster in Ruby. That's what we learned, and we tried and tested that a lot. Then once you have Ruby and you have the fundamentals locked down, we add JavaScript on top of it. So you go into graduate with 2 programming languages. And then obviously you have the Rails framework, which we use to build web applications and deploy them really fast on top of that. We also have advanced courses for our students that go into additional JavaScript frameworks as well. So talking about Node, talking about Angular 4, talking about React.js. And these are the cutting edge things that we're teaching students as well through our advanced classes. Now, but what's really important is to always think about fundamentals, right? If you don't have the fundamentals right, if you don't have the computer science fundamentals right, if you don't understand your data structures or your algorithms, your object-oriented programming or your test-driven development, it's going to be incredibly hard because that is what's expected for you to grow as a developer. If your foundations are weak, it's really hard to grow. And that's why we're focusing on that a lot in the first 2/3 of our program before we actually start accelerating off of that foundation. So if we think about test-driven development, right, that's writing automated software tests as to make sure that our features are not broken. That's your bread and butter as a developer. We're teaching that. We're going in depth on that. Wireframing is another thing. It's like, think about your ideas. How can you create in the best possible way, right? And that oftentimes starts with like wireframing, what you actually want to build. Draw it out, pencil and paper, or use any of your digital tools. And that's what all of our students are learning too, because that is really important. That goes for the actual features and the apps, but it also goes to your database architecture. How do we draw that out? And we just ran a session last week where we went through with the students how they actually should architect their database, and everyone could watch how we go through that. And that's part of our weekly office hours. And then the last thing is our agile team project. I talk about that too, because that's a huge competitive advantage if you know how to work as part of a development team in a professional setting. So many people just learn to code by themselves and completely forgetting that in the real world, no one codes by themselves. The best software is built by amazing teams. And if you don't know how to be part of that team, you're missing out big time. And if you know how to be part of a team, you're that person who can hit the ground running on day one. And guess who hiring managers, VP of engineering, CTOs are looking for? The people who can hit the ground running from day one, right? These high impact developers. And these are the ones who can actually work as part of an agile team. Okay, enough of this, this single slide, right? Where you're expected to learn on the job, and we help you learn how to learn so you can continuously grow while in the program and then afterwards, right? This is setting a trajectory for the rest of your career. So don't just think 22 weeks, think your next 2, 3, 4 years. And that's what we're helping you, setting that foundation so you're ready for that. Now, one thing that's really important for us is our personal support. I call it coordinated support. That is personal. And so that means if you go through our program and you get stuck right here, this screen says installing the programs. That's the first hurdle that we run everyone through. There are people there to help you. You have mentor sessions, you have office hours. I think this is one of our screenshots from our office hours where we all come together and talk about complicated concepts, where we help people answering their questions. You can learn from other people's mistakes. You have mentor sessions as well. And I go through that. How do I get support in more detail now? First of all, we have a technical forum. Get a quick answer. You're stuck. You shouldn't be stuck. You should have somebody to help, right? So you can go in. I think there's this Brida's account. You can go in there, ask a question. You see other people's question directly for the lesson. So here we're building a user authentication. That means log in, log out, user registration feature. And we're using a gem called device. And there's people who obviously have questions, routing error help, and we help people really fast so you can focus on learning new skills rather than spinning your wheels. So the forum is really important because it enables you to always move forward and continuously learning. And that forum is manned by software engineers from the Firehose project. So this is our tech support team. So it's not like other students trying to help you out and somebody says something and you can try it. It's like somebody will actually look at your code that is on the platform or that's on GitHub, download it and double check where you have a typo or that you forgot something in your database. And now we're figuring it out how to do that together. That's the one thing. And then we have our community, right? Talk with real people. We have our Slack channel where our mentors are and where our student community is, where you can help people out. We have our community page where general discussions are happening, people sharing their blog posts. So there's always chatter going on and never feeling alone. And that's important when you're coding because you should be part of a community, and the Firehose community goes really deep and really strong. And then lastly, we also have the office hours. These are weekly sessions. I'm always in them. Ken is in them as well. That's a great little picture of us. Some of our students are at the bottom, and then we're actually answering questions. And we get anything from algorithms to how do I pick up freelance work to, hey, what's wrong with my code right here? We collect the questions ahead of time, and then we go through all of them, and then we share the recording with all the students as well. So it's another touch point for you to come together, for our community to come together, and then get answers to your questions. If you don't have questions, you learn a lot by just listening in. And you know, there's a saying that smart people learn from other people's mistake and they don't do them. And that's what happens during office hours a lot, where you can actually learn from other people's mistake. And then you can figure out, like, how would I have solved that if I were in that position? And that's a really valuable hour that we have, or office hours that we have every single week. And yes, you will have a personal mentor. That is one-on-one with your mentor. We do the mentor matching. We take that seriously. We actually look at your coding background. We look at your performance in the prep course, how you've been doing there, and we look at your goals that you want to get out of that. And based on that, we personally match you with your mentor. And then you have weekly one-on-one sessions with your mentor where you can deep dive, right? And the mentor sessions are meant for algorithms, for coding challenge, for the really hard part, right? If you build a simple app, you can oftentimes get away with asking questions in the forum. But once we go into test-driven development, once we're starting talking about algorithms, once we're starting about data structures, that's when a mentor comes into play by taking you under their wing and then moving you along and really helping you to accelerate your skills. And we have like 100 plus mentors on our platform right now. They have hundreds of years of experience. Here's just a few that we have on our homepage. If you want to see more, you can just go to our mentors right here in the top nav. You can click on them, read some of their bios. They're really impressive. They're all senior developers, VP of engineering, years of experience. Are really tough at recruiting them. They're the best of the best. Okay. Basically, in mentorship sessions, right, you pair programming, you're working on the challenges, you practice interviewing as well, and you prepare for your career, right? This is somebody with years of experience who can actually go and move you in the right direction, right? They can anticipate where you should go. They can tell you, here's where you should be, and they can look 5 steps ahead of you. Yeah, join our global talent community, right? And be a part of it. Now, big question, we get that all the time. How does Firehose prepare me for the real world? And we have our team project, the Agile team project, where you collaborate together. And that's crucial. And I have a few slides here, how this is working, right? We're thinking about getting you together with a senior developer who is running your team the same way they would do at their current job, right? So you think about, you have somebody from Shopify or PayPal or eBay, a senior developer, or a smaller startup as well, like Product Hunt or AngelList, and they come and they run you as a team where we build a complex advanced web application. What we're currently building is a chess app. And why are we building a chess app? A chess app is because the game of chess is really complicated. It has a lot of rules and they're complicated to enforce. And we actually didn't come up with that idea for chess app. We asked all of our mentors, right? The VP of engineering, the 100 plus mentors, the senior developers, and we asked them, what would impress you in a job interview? And when we talked about a Yelp clone, a Facebook clone, it was all like, yeah, it's not that challenging to build from like the actual complexity of the code. But when we suggested, what about a game like a chess game? Everyone's like, this is actually pretty hard to do. If you just think about it, there's so many pieces that are on a chessboard. And if you think about how do we keep track of all the position of the pieces? How do we make sure that what they did over here, the castling move, right? How is that executed properly? How do we check automatically and detect the checkmate being happening on the board live while the pieces are moving? That is really hard to do. And when this is happening, we actually need to implement 2 things at the same time. We need to use our skills for web application development, and we need to use our algorithmic skills and combine them. And that's exactly what happens during the last 8 weeks of the program. Working as a real team under the wing of a senior developer, and we're building something as advanced as you would do in the real world. We're using the same tools here. We're using Trello boards, Kanban philosophy, where we say, hey, we only work on one feature at a time, and we're moving them left to right, where we say like, hey, what is currently in progress? What do we still need to figure out? What is currently worked on? Who's working on what? And we're splitting the tasks up so we can actually work together as a team. And we're using GitHub as they've done up here. And we actually have team meetings and stand-ups just like they have here. We obviously do them virtually, but some students also met up in person to do those. But that is a huge competitive advantage, like I said before. If you can come into a technical interview or start talking about how you actually build something really complex as part of a team, that is exactly why you get hired for. So if I have the choice as a technical hiring manager between 2 candidates, one knows how to work as a team, I know they're a high impact employee because of it, and the other person hasn't, that is such an easy choice. And it also changes the dynamic of the interview when you can actually go through complex code like here for a castling move, line by line, and actually explain why you made certain choices and how you worked together as a team, rather than going on the whiteboard and solving some arbitrary coding challenges that they have to ask because there's not a better way for them how to test how you, if you actually have what it takes to work at that company. So Agile Team Project is critical. A full 8 weeks, you get additional mentor sessions, group mentor sessions on top of that, and no other program has those as key component to knowing how to actually code in the real world. It goes way beyond pair programming with another student. It goes actually building something real, complex, the same way it's done in the real world. Okay, will I get a job after the program? We get that a lot. Yes, absolutely. We support your career change with a specialized job track. It's a job optimization track that we have that runs through literally everything that there is, from resume and LinkedIn and online presence optimization and actually branding as a developer, to how do I prep for a technical interview, to through like mock interviews with your mentor. We have everything covered there. And we developed that together with recruiters, VP of engineering, and technical recruiters from big tech companies. And they told us, this is what people need to know for me to look at the resume. Here's how the resume should look like. This is what I care about. VP of engineering, this is what they need to know. This is how they should present themselves. It's networking, it's knowing where to find the jobs and how to apply for them. So doing your entire pipeline of opportunities all the way down to the offer, that's what we're teaching you in our specialized job track. And this is just one here where we say like, hey, here's how you craft the perfect resume so it sticks out on a stack of resumes on a technical recruiter's desk. But you also get lifetime access to the current curriculum, right? Everything we have, when you sign up, you get lifetime access to that. And we see that time and time again, how our graduates come back, look at some lessons, quickly brush up on some skills, either for their own side project or for work, and double check on, oh, how did I do this one feature? And then they go back and actually use that right at work. And so this is like a massive online library and learning resource that you have on the project. And we're consistently improving something. So if something is out of date, we always add it. I think the last 2 weeks we shipped dozens and dozens of improvement to our curriculum. So you get that as well. And then you also have our global talent network. Is this enough? Yes, because if we're looking where we're placing graduates and where they land, right? Just a few companies here where they're working right now. And so what we have, it gets you jobs, it gets you ready. Obviously, it's not a walk in the park, it's hard work, but that's why I'm assuming all of you are here, right? To take your careers in your own hands, work hard, get a rewarding career, and then really ride that wave of the technology explosion that I talked before. And if we're looking at some numbers, right, we've done like, I think these numbers are way higher right now, but 6,000 mentor sessions, right? How many lines of codes were reviewed? How many lessons were completed, right? And you see some of our graduates with reviews. You can go to our alumni page, see a lot more of those, read all the reviews in depth. You can also go to course report. I think we have over 100 reviews there. And we have a close to a 5-star rating, so you can look at what our students said in depth there as well. We link to the reviews from our alumni page as well, and we give you short snippets there as well. So, and there's the people, it's a great quote, but people come from all over the place, people who actually never done coding before in the background, come to us, go through the prep course, really fall in love with it, and then we're able to accelerate them up. And people also tried something else, right, from other programs. They call themselves other bootcamp refugees. We have so many of them coming and they tell us consistently, hey, before I tried Firehose, nothing else clicked. And all of a sudden things are starting to click, and we're like, yeah, that's by design, right? We took all the experience that we have from teaching in person, packed it into our online learning platform, refined it over the year, and made it so everything is designed to make things click for you, right? So you get the perfect piece of information at the best time for you. And so that's when the clicking moments happen. Now, basically want to make you set up for success, and then go from that solid foundation and then think about gaming, think about development for iWatches, think about virtual reality, right? This is the platform that you can go on. This is the technology wave that you can ride. What's next? Try the prep course if you haven't done so, right? This is your first introduction to programming. Definitely build your own portfolio page, ship that live, work with Ruby a little bit. If you already have experience, you can jump with HTML and CSS. You can go straight to the Ruby challenges, knock them out, and be accepted into our full program. But the prep course, again, you get code reviews, you get the forum support, and you get help, so you don't have to be stuck. You can also email Brita. You can also email me, Marco, M-A-R-C-O, at thefirehoseproject.com. Happy to answer your questions. Just reach out. That's pretty much it, what I have. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to look at if I've received any questions. If you have questions, as I said, put them into the doc, and I try my best to answer them. Put them into the wherever it is, left or right on the screen. I'll see if I have some. So give me a moment while I grab that. Let's take a moment to load with YouTube. All right, looks like I answered all the questions. Awesome. That sometimes happens, which is great. All right, everyone, go back to the prep course, code with us there. If you have any other questions, email Brita at the Firehose Project or me, Mark at the Firehose Project. Happy to jump on we're happy to jump on one-on-one calls with you, figure out like what's the best for you to moderate the accelerated version, answer questions as well. But yeah, that was super fun. Hope you enjoyed it, and happy coding. Take care.